Alana Brophy.
Welcome back on this Tuesday night. We had a really pretty sunset to close out our Tuesday. Meg Roberts caught this one. Mix of sun and clouds throughout the day today. Great shot, Meg. Thank you. Weather at abc4.com for your weather photos and videos. We love when you get out there and enjoy. Hey, it's a holiday week and maybe you're thinking of heading to the water. I hope you recreate responsibly. But as we look at some of our reservoir levels, healthy numbers here, and this is very helpful when it comes to it, down to it, because this is our savings bank, a savings account for drought years. And here we are with dry conditions out there. Jordanelle, 90% of capacity, more than half at Willard Bay, Deer Creek at 76, 90%, Strawberry, Utah Lake at 86%, and Sand Hollow at 80% capacity. So if you are heading out on the water, have a good time, but just make sure you're wearing that life jacket. Time-lapse video coming from our Black Desert Sky Cam. Those few clouds you see in Ivins as they hit the mid to upper 90s throughout Washington County. There's the sun going down, pretty shot with those clear skies tonight. That just shows that we had some lingering moisture holding on. That was the case, but we didn't see the storms that we were dealing with yesterday. Those pop-up storms just weren't in the forecast today. 80s and 90s for those highs. 92 in Salt Lake, still 3 degrees below seasonal norms. 90 in Moab, 96 in St. George. Overall, a few degrees below where we typically are this time of year, but no one really complains because you know what, low 90s does feel a little different than mid to upper 90s this time of year. 70s once we close out the news with mostly clear skies. We're going to see those numbers dropping into the low to mid 70s along the Wasatch Front tonight. Plenty of sunshine for tomorrow. Wednesday is going to be very similar to what we saw today, so we're just going to copy and paste a little bit with the exception of a few storms, and I'll show you where. Satellite radar with the southwesterly flow quiet, noticeable. Our winds were not gusty as they were yesterday. They eased, and so it was just a bit breezy, and we'll see that again tomorrow. Corner of the state, just maybe some gusty winds. Great shot coming from Kurt. Thanks, Kurt, for sharing this. Washington Boulevard and Ogden today. Look at those clear skies with the flag hanging over Washington Boulevard. Live view tonight from our ABC4 camera, the city lights, Ensign Peak showing off. You know, Salt Lake has been very dry. Actually, thus far this month, we've only picked up 0.18 of precipitation. Usually by this time, we see more than 0.3, so running very dry. And we did that for June as well. And it's not just the state capital. No, it's actually throughout the region. As you look at these numbers, the green bars here represent where we typically see moisture at this point in the month, but it's very meager. What we've actually accumulated is barely over a trace. No measurable moisture there in Provo at that weather station. Barely any in Logan and St. George. Not great to see. It just means that as we watch that drought monitor every Thursday, we're seeing those conditions worsen, and it's no surprise why. Because with the monsoon, we just haven't seen much in the way of measurable moisture. Look at our futurecast dew point here. It really keeps that dry air over the Beehive State as we hit the holiday and head through the weekend. The red indicating that, you notice it on the scale. Dew point is actually how much moisture the air can hold, so not a lot. And our southwest flow picks up with our dry air in place. That's going to be problematic when it comes to fires, and we already have a new fire burning tonight. Futurecast shows us fairly quiet conditions, but watch northeastern Utah. There we go. We get a storm or two by tomorrow afternoon over the Uintas, but now we're watching closely for Pioneer Day in the morning, forewarning you that we could see some pop-ups along the Wasatch Front, the Wasatch back, and then over towards Flaming Gorge, Uinta County, and Duchesne County. This is at 7 a.m., but we keep that with a little disturbance coming through. Looks like the Uintas will see most of the activity, but a few pop-ups with some gusty wind potential as we make it into the afternoon on your holiday. This is noteworthy because we have the parade. Many folks will be on the water or near the water, and we could see some gusty conditions. So you want to stay weather aware. Drier air will move in as we make it through the middle of our holiday, and that southwesterly flow begins to pick up rolling into Friday and Saturday. That's going to come with fire danger. Here's why. High pressure with our ridge, that cutoff low, keeping us unsettled. A little wave comes through with the storms for the holiday. As that low gets closer to the Beehive State, southwesterly winds pick up, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some critical fire danger. On the weather side, on top of when it's legal for fireworks, so we need to be extra careful. High pressure takes over and allows for a warming trend. Quick glance at those numbers for your holiday, 80s and 90s. That's what we're serving up, pulling it through the Beehive State with those numbers. 90s for tomorrow, 97 in Moab and St. George. Looking at the next 7 days in Washington County, winds by Saturday, and that's when the triple digits return. Here's the Wasatch Front with those mid-90s. We'll see those numbers hanging steady as we take that check from the Wasatch Front. Slight chance on Thursday windy conditions with fire danger by Saturday. I want you to take another view of that Black Desert time lapse. The sun was going down and it was so pretty tonight. The heat returns by Saturday in the south.